We start this tour of ConExpo 2023 at the Liebherr stand. Among the crawler cranes on show was the LR 1700, and the grey colour scheme matched the weather on the first day at ConExpo. Yep, big machine, looks impressive. As always, there's a Liebherr shop to visit, and there didn't seem to be any new 1 to 50 scale models. The usual models were on display, and unlike the last ConExpo, there was no special limited edition on sale. There were a couple of small models which might have been 1 to 87 scale, and that included a truck crane and a mining truck. Back outside, and there were plenty of machines to see, and there was also one of those special very low tower cranes. I just don't understand how they're supposed to pick anything up when they're so low. There was a bit of a demonstration area, and that had a bit of a demonstration. The other big crawler crane at the show was the LR 1400 SX, and a scale model of this is expected at some time, perhaps this year. The only thing that we can say about it is that it will not be made by NZG. Moving on, and there were nice machines from the foundation sector. And coming there will be a model of the LB45. The good people at Liebherr like to show us how weak we all are, so they had a challenge to try and ring the bell. And that bell wasn't heard ringing very much. Kobelco had a decent sized stand with big crawler cranes on it, and there were models that you could buy in the merchandise shop, but that did not include any cranes. One thing about ConExpo is that parking is always difficult, and your car is at risk if you do decide to park it. You do see some nicely decorated machines, and this Kobelco was one of them. Over at the Seine stand there were a number of models available for purchase, and some were in the larger scales preferred by Chinese OEMs. One surprise at ConExpo was that Manitowoc didn't have a stand, and that seems odd given that it's their home show. But with that said, there were some Grove machines on display, so you do get a glimpse of what might have been had Manitowoc had a full stand. In contrast, Tadano invested big with a huge stand, so they obviously had a different mindset about ConExpo compared to Manitowoc. In their merchandise shop there were a number of models available for purchase, and on display they had a number of models made up, including the CC2800. There was one new model on display, and this was a prototype of the GT1200 XL-2. This is a crane which is more for the Japanese market, so it remains to be seen whether the model will be available worldwide. As you might expect, electric machines are a trend, and Tadano was showing the world's first electric rough terrain crane. So here's one of the main differences: you need a place to be able to plug it in, and I'm not sure how convenient that will be on the type of sites that a crane like this usually operates on. Another of the Chinese companies that was well represented was Zoomlion, and there was a variety of equipment in their lime green colour, and here's a pump mounted on a US truck. In the model shop there were a variety of models in different scales, or maybe they're all the same scale and the real machines are just in unusual sizes. Yet another Chinese company had a big stand, and that was XCMG, and they were going the full Las Vegas with song and dance. Somehow it all feels just a little bit strange, but fair play, they're putting the investment in to get their products seen. And that even included some unusual exhibits, such as these Chinese heavy trucks. Inside the shop, some of the line of XCMG models was on display, and some of these look pretty good. Again, there were variable scales, but a number were in 1 to 50 scale. Going back outside, the XCMG range also included mobile cranes. But of course there were US brands at ConExpo, and Link-Belt cranes were there. And as usual they had a separate stand for Link-Belt excavators. A big range of cranes was on display, and inside they had a range of scale models for sale. There was nothing described as new, but at least they were there if you wanted them. Of course the big beast of Caterpillar had a huge stand, and that included a very large demonstration area. On the first day they were running various competitions, and that included carrying out timed challenges for operators.
We use different skill levels of operators, and we do that on purpose. 96-inch, 8-foot long tines, and we set and fix the spacing.
We head over to Doosan, which is now calling itself Develon. And the first thing we see is some electric machines without operators. It looks like they take lunch breaks like the rest of us, and soon robot machines like this will just have robot visitors at ConExpo. For normal people there were other Develon excavators on show. As a new strategy, Volvo decided not to exhibit at Bauma, but as an even newer strategy they decided to exhibit at ConExpo. And sure enough they were demonstrating electric and other fuel machines. Yet another of the Chinese companies at ConExpo was Sunward. Known for their excavators, they also had other machines on display, and there were also some models of Sunward machines. And that also included a model of a scissor lift.
Wider range of the workforce, so really expanding that workforce that's capable of carrying out some of those jobs, and also removing those workers from areas that might be hazardous, whether that's work at height or whether that is work doing it live themselves and gripping that heavy tool.
Actually, it seems all this business of using people is becoming a waste of time. Let's do away with them all, then we won't have to listen to any more complaints. But on the other hand, you can always use people for a bit of sport. There were plenty of aerial platforms on display, and this big snorkel machine could rise to a height of over 200 feet. So yeah, let's stick a robot in the basket and see how it likes that. Other exhibitors included Flamonville with this big low loader, and in the distance it looks like Conrad had taken over a whole building. There were plenty of ground engineering machines on display, and some of them could certainly give you a good reaming out. If you looked carefully you could also see the occasional self-build model, and this one appears to be a nice effort made of Lego Technic. To be honest, some parts of ConExpo were just rubbish. ConExpo is held at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and it has the really weird Vegas Loop transport system. It consists of a whole number of Tesla cars, each with a driver, and you get into it and it drives you through a series of underground tunnels. These are all nice and colourful, And you keep driving on and on until you come to a station, and here's one that's an underground station. And if you don't want to get out there, the driver just carries on through the tunnel to get to the next station. This surely has to be one of the most expensive and ridiculous transport systems ever invented. Or maybe it's just a new idea for a car showroom. Either way, if you go to the Las Vegas Convention Center, it's worth going on it just for a laugh. With the laughing finished, we go back to the exhibition, and Komatsu had a big indoor stand. As you would expect, part of the stand was a merchandise store, and there were plenty of models available. Among the selection were some models which can be a bit harder to find, so if you are a fan of Komatsu, there were plenty to get your wallet out for. There were some unusual machines on display, like this one, which may have been a grader or an excavator, or perhaps some kind of management tool for motivating a workforce. Hyundai also had a big presence, and they had some models on display as well. Another interesting feature of ConExpo are the large number of trucks that are on display. And these tend to look really good up close and shiny. Back we go to construction machines, and Kobelco had another large stand, and the range of paving machinery was impressive. And if you went back outside, there was also a Wirtgen Group stand with more impressive machinery. And that completes our look at ConExpo 2023.